What if you could build a better international portfolio than just simply holding VXUS? I recently replaced my international equity allocation with this simple 4 ETF portfolio, which I call the International 4 Quadrant portfolio. This portfolio has outperformed VXUS by 4% every single year over the last 5 years, and it didn't do it by stock picking or market timing. Instead, it combines decades worth of academic research on factor investing all in one simple, easy to manage 4 ETF portfolio. Today, I'll show you exactly how it works, why it has historically outperformed, and whether it actually is worth replacing VXUS. Hi, I'm your host, Dr. Abhishek Gadre. I'm a practicing physician, and welcome to the Money Matters MD Show. Now, if you've seen my US 4 quadrant portfolio, this is the international version of the same exact thing. Now, the US 4 quadrant portfolio has outperformed VOO over the last 5 years by 4%, but that's a whole separate video. Today, we're only focusing on international equities. It's a multi-factor strategy employing momentum, value, size, and profitability all in one package. Now, before we dive into the international 4 quadrant portfolio and the 4 ETFs which make it up, let's answer a more important question first. Why should you own international stocks at all? Now, international stocks have lagged the US market for more than a decade, from 2010 all the way to 2024, but that trend has changed in 2025 and 2026, where international stocks have strongly outperformed the US. Now, one important reason is the US stocks are trading at much higher valuations compared to the international and emerging market stocks. As a result, many major investment firms have projected higher expected returns for international and emerging market stocks over the next decade compared to the US stocks. International stocks have also historically provided significant diversification, especially during the dot-com bubble collapse, during the last decade when the US stocks actually performed negative to zero and international stocks were heavily positive. Now, if today's AI enthusiasm proves to be excessive, and no one actually knows exactly what's going to happen, but international stocks could again provide some meaningful diversification against any US underperformance. Now let's jump into the international 4 quadrant portfolio. So between 2021 and 2025, over the last 5 years, VXUS has returned 9.8% annualized. And the international 4 quadrant portfolio has returned 13.8%, which is 4% better than VXUS. The international 4 quadrant portfolio is made up of 4 ETFs. The first component is momentum, which is 25% of IDMO, which is Invesco Developed International Momentum ETF. The second component is large value, which is 25% of AVIV, which is Avantis Developed International Large Cap Value, which provides access to deep value in the international developed territory with a profitability filter on top of it to avoid any value traps. Now, the third component is 25% of AVDV, which is the Avantis Small Cap Value ETF for the international developed segment. Now, again, Avantis uses a profitability filter on top of the small cap value ETF to avoid any value traps and to keep the quality high. Now, the fourth and last quadrant of this portfolio is 25% of AVEM, which is Avantis Emerging Markets ETF. Again, this is a core emerging market holding. It is not purely value, but it is value tilted and also profitability tilted. Now, AVEM avoids any low quality, low profitability value traps in the emerging market segment, and you will see how much better AVEM performs compared than VWO, which is a Vanguard Emerging Markets ETF. Now, let's jump into the individual components of the 4 quadrant portfolio, the first one being momentum. So IDMO is the Invesco Momentum ETF, which focuses on international developed markets. Its inception was in 2012, which means we have about 14 years of data. Now, if you compare it with VXUS, IDMO has beat VXUS by 1.5% annualized over the last 14 years. So it's 7.5% versus 9%. Now, momentum also has a higher risk-adjusted return, which means a higher Sharpe ratio. Now, if you look at the ulcer chart, momentum does give you deeper and wider drawdowns and makes much bigger ulcers over the last 14 years. Especially you'll see in that 2016 to 2018 period, international momentum gave much bigger ulcers compared to the underlying index, which is VXUS. Now, there's no surprises here. It's very similar to the US 4 quadrant portfolio, where the US momentum also gives bigger ulcers compared to the S&P 500 ETF, and international momentum also gives bigger ulcers compared to its underlying index, which is VXUS. Now, again, I like to clarify there's a lot of misconception out there regarding momentum that it doesn't give deeper ulcers, it doesn't actually give deeper drawdowns, it just magically recovers really, really fast out of any drawdowns. Now, if you look at the math, that's basically taking into account the area under the curve for these ulcers. The ulcer index for momentum is higher. So you are getting higher returns, but it is at the cost of higher drawdowns and bigger ulcers. But don't worry, that's why you have these other three quadrants, which balances out the risk between momentum and value. Now let's jump into the second component of the portfolio, which is large cap value, which is the AVIV ETF. Now, the inception of AVIV ETF is in 2021. That means we only have about 5 years worth of data. The expense ratio is around 0.25. It's a $1.8 billion fund. Now, AVIV has beat VXUS hands down by 3.2% annualized over the last 5 years. Now, AVIV has a much higher Sharpe ratio as well. Now, if you want to backtest a little bit more in the past for international developed large cap value, you can actually use DFIV ETF from Dimensional. So Dimensional is basically the big brother of Avantis, which basically started in the back office of Vanguard. I discussed all of this in my original US for Quadrant portfolio video. But Dimensional has had factor tilted international mutual funds for a long time. So DFIV was created in 1999 and the expense ratio is 0.27. And because it's such an older fund, it is $19.8 billion, way bigger than AVIV. There's really two options here. You could either choose AVIV or DFIV depending on your personal biases. Now, DFIV has outperformed VXUS over the last 15 years by around 0.5%. Now, let's jump into the third component of the international 4-quadrant portfolio, which is small cap value. Now, AVDV ETF is the Avantis small cap value ETF in the international developed markets, and the expense ratio is around 0.36%. And again, it's a big fund. It's $19.8 billion. There is another alternative for Avantis. It is DISV, which is a dimensional ETF. Now, dimensional ETF actually came later than the Avantis ETF. It came out in 2022. The expense ratio is slightly higher at 0.42%. It is a smaller fund at $4.7 billion. And that's why I prefer Avantis a little bit over Dimensional in this case. Now, the AVDV ETF was introduced by Avantis in 2019. If you compare AVDV with VXUS, AVDV has completely destroyed VXUS by 4.2% annualized over the last 7 years. Now, the risk-adjusted returns, which is the Sharpe ratio, is much higher for the small cap value ETF, and the ulcer index is pretty identical. Now, let's look at the fourth quadrant of this 4-quadrant portfolio, which is the emerging markets, which is the AVEM ETF. Now, AVEM was also introduced by Avantis in 2019. Now, I don't want to compare AVEM just with VXUS because that'd be unfair because the developed markets have done so much better recently. I also want to compare AVEM with VXUS and VWO, which is the Vanguard Emerging Markets ETF. Now, emerging markets haven't done so well over the last 7 years. If you compare it with VXUS, VWO has only returned about 8.7% compared to 10.7%, which is a 2% difference. Now, if you look at the factor-tilted version of VWO, which is essentially AVEM, Avantis has done 4.1% better compared to VWO. It has returned 12.84% annualized over the last 7 years. So, which tells you that factor investing not only works in the US or in the developed economies, it actually works way better in emerging markets. I'll be honest here, VW has underperformed for so long, it's almost really boring and sad to hold in your portfolio. And AVEM juices it up enough that it's almost exciting to hold it in your portfolio, just makes it more palatable. My goal while designing this 4-quadrant portfolio was making something easy to rebalance and easy to monitor. Now, if you have 4 components which are all different weights, it could be actually a little harder to figure out how all the individual components are doing. I just want to acknowledge that we are humans and not AIs at the end of the day. If you are a DIY investor, you're going to manage your own portfolios. That comes at the risk of you not being able to monitor accurately how your portfolio is actually doing, or maybe not rebalancing it accurately at the end of every single year. Now, if all the buckets are equally weighted, it just makes it a little bit easier to rebalance it at the end of the year. And again, I think it works beautifully because this large cap value and momentum gives you a 50% core holding, which is the AVIV and the IDMO portion, which is 50% of this portfolio, and it tilts you towards small cap value using that AVDV ETF, which has outperformed so well. And it is evidence based again. And you're also not ignoring but embracing emerging markets in this portfolio. Now, India and China are projected to be much, much larger economies in the coming decades. And a lot of these foreign currencies might actually become stronger and stronger in the future, and they'll occupy a much larger chunk of this VXUS international bucket. So you do want to give them significant representation within your portfolio. Now, let's look into a longer backtest simulation of this 4-quadrant portfolio. So I've used a few equivalent mutual funds from Dimensional to replace the underlying Avantis ETFs. Now, IDMO, which is a momentum ETF, goes back to 2012. There is really no way to backtest it before that. Now, between 2012 and 2026, over the last 14 years, the international 4-quadrant portfolio has outperformed VXUS annualized by about 1.12%. Now, this is a big deal because the longer time horizons you go, this is compounding growth over decades. The international 4-quadrant portfolio also has a higher Sharpe ratio. Now, if you look at the performance, VXUS has done 7.46%, and the international 4-quadrant has done 8.58%. Now, the international 4-quadrant portfolio did give you a little bit larger ulcers. The ulcer index was 11 versus 9.7. But again, it was worth it because the returns were significantly higher on an annualized basis. Now, those of you who are really paying close attention to all my videos and all my content, you'll realize that the international 4-quadrant portfolio does not have a GARP component. Now, I really tried to include a large cap growth, which is a growth at a reasonable price component within this 4-quadrant portfolio, but it just doesn't fit well or work as well as it really does in the US 4-quadrant portfolio. And there's actually an underlying reason for that. The international large cap growth hasn't really done so well, and the international equity markets are much more value focused. A lot of them are more financial and bank driven economies and industrial and production driven economies. A lot of the large cap growth market is really more US focused. Now, if you really want to keep it simple and easy, I just decided to exclude the large cap growth. And I think the large cap value and momentum serve as a core part of the portfolio for this international 4-quadrant portfolio. Now, the international value and international momentum do comprise 50% of the portfolio, and I think they make a decent core holding of this portfolio. There's no core large cap growth, but momentum will tilt towards large cap growth depending on wherever the momentum is going at the time. Now, I just wanted to focus a little bit on the change in trend from the US outperformance for so long, and now that the international equities are actually outperforming. And a lot of you probably don't even know that if you don't annually track the performance of these indexes. So in 2025, if you watched my 2025 portfolio review video, you would know this, that the international markets actually returned 32% in 2025 compared to the S&P 500, which only returned about 17%. Now, 17% is not bad, but 32% is 15% better. And this trend has actually continued in 2026. So if you look at the first half of 2026, VXUS has performed 28%, which is a compound annualized growth rate. And if you look at the US S&P 500, it has only returned about 19%. Now, 19% is not anything to sneeze at. It's way higher than historic averages, but 28% is 9% better. Now, the emerging market stocks have actually done better than the US equity markets over the last 6 months, which is the beginning part of 2026. Now, I also wanted to jump a little bit into the forecasting. Now, forecasting is not accurate by any means at all. But Morningstar, BlackRock, JP Morgan, all of these institutions do come out with 10-year forecasts to try to project how the US and the international markets will actually do. Because the US markets are so overvalued right now, they're only projecting about a 5% annual return over the next 10 years. And that's not me, that's the average forecast by all of these large investment banks. And if you look at developed markets, the average forecast is somewhere around 7%, which is 2% better than the US markets. So that should give you a little bit of a pause. Now, those of you who are holding 100% of your portfolio in the US equity market, which is really overvalued right now, should consider adding a little bit more international equities and adding some amount of fixed income. Now, the interesting part is that the US equity return is expected to be about 5%. And the fixed income return is also expected to be right around 4.8%. And the amount of risk you're taking on the US equity side is much higher compared to that fixed income. So that risk premium between the equity versus fixed income is much lower over the next decade. Again, at least it's projected to be much lower. We don't really know how it's going to do. But these forecasts do tend to influence a little bit how the institutional money is deployed in the financial world. Now, if you're interested in the US for quadrant portfolio, I have made a whole separate video. I'll link it down in the description below. And I also made a whole separate video back testing the US for quadrant portfolio by 33 years so that you can see how it performed during the dot-com bubble burst, during the 2007 great financial crisis, and the COVID-19 pandemic. Now, I have not been able to do the exact same for the international for quadrant portfolio because the oldest fund I can find is IDMO, which ends in 2012. There is no other fund, at least that I know, that goes back all the way to the 1990s. I was able to find SPMO simulation, SPMO SIM on the internet, but I'm not able to find IDMO sim. If any of you know how to simulate IDMO back to 1990s, let me know. I'll try to simulate the international four quadrant portfolio as well. I want to see how it performed during the dot-com bubble burst as well. Now, I have a few ideas for a future video to create a global four quadrant portfolio, which I'll include the US four quadrant portfolio on one side and the international four quadrant portfolio, and then add some fixed income and just see how the overall portfolio looks like. I think that'll make a very interesting video. Again, I'll also try to back test the global four quadrant portfolio in the next video. And just to remember, it's not financial advice. This is for educational and entertainment purposes only. Now, if you're getting any kind of value from this video, please subscribe to the channel. It really does help a lot. It helps boost the channel up in the algorithm. Thank you for watching. Money Matters MD, over and out.